Hi, my name is Sandra from Crafts of Ireland, and today I look forward to showing you how to make a little needle felted robin. It's made entirely from the wool from our own sheep and local farmers, and we are going to use our magic to turn all these fibres into our robin. We have 6 grams of white carded fibre, and then we have the colours that we need to make the rest of him. We have a template for his body shape and for his wing, and a small piece of felt fabric that you can use for making wings and tails. So join me and we'll get this little guy made. So the first thing to do is take our 6 grams of white carded fibre and you roll it up as tightly as you can into the shape that you require. So that's probably as good as we're going to get. The tighter we can get it, the quicker it's going to felt for us. Do be careful at this stage. Needles are very sharp. Some people do wear finger protectors. You're going to tighten first where we roll the fibre in, and then we're going to keep working around that with the needle. You want to make sure that you keep your needle straight or you will break it, and you want to push your needle at least halfway through the fibre so that you're felting evenly the whole way. Initially we're just going to keep going round till we tighten up the piece, and then we'll start bringing it to the shape that we want. This is our template, so we need to get the fibre into that shape, and that is the body of our bird, and that's where we start from. So if you keep working, okay, doesn't matter.
I didn't stop.
So I've been working away felting, and now I've started to bring the piece to the shape that I need. So you can see it's getting smaller. This is going to be the head, this is going to be the tail. So I'm going to work more on these, and to shape a piece you just felt where you need the most of the shrinkage. You still have to continue to work around. So we're going to keep doing that for another few minutes till we bring it fully to the shape of our template. Again, I'm working here for the breast. So I've spent another few minutes working on that, and I think we're pretty good in terms of shape. So that's what we need to make the body. So now the fun starts. We're going to start covering it with our fibre and blend it some shades of browns together. My little guy fell over. So we take the fibre roughly from where its beak is, back the length of its body and down under the side. So that's what we're going to do now. Taking small amounts of fibre. Again, this is carded, so nicely lined up. And take our needle, and from approximately halfway down its face, where the beak is, we're going to start adding the fibre. This time you don't need to felt very heavily because you don't want to distort the shape. So I just work with maybe the first set of barbs. There's 3 sets on each side of the needle. Work with the first one and just keep going till you affix the colour to him or her, I'm not sure which it is. That robin. In Irish it's on Spiddog. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep taking small pieces of our coloured fibre and lay them down and gently attach them with the tip of the needle. And we can keep using till we make sure that we have no white spots left. Here is slightly bald, so we need to put a little patch. And we'll continue that until we have all the brown added to the bird. So nearly there. We just tidying up the brown initial cover on the bird. A little bit of surplus here at the tail and just tuck it in. So that's about what we need in brown. I've come down about halfway on both sides. Another little patch there that, well, that one isn't going to be seen because there'll be a wing on top of it anyway. And we'll stick an extra bit in there. That's my head, that's the tail. Sometimes it gets a bit confusing, but once we get a little bit further on now, then our next job is to add the colour to its breast. Now, we've included in our kits some browns or some oranges and some deep reds, so you can pretty much mix them to blend to get whichever shade that you want your robin to be. I think I'll go with something like that. Just mix some of the dark red through the brighter orange colours. And I'm going to start that where the brown ends. And work that down along the breast. And this is when it really starts to look like a little robin. Again, you're just tapping that in with your needle. You don't want to do it too deeply, just to make sure it's all evenly fixed in. And if we have anywhere that we need top up, there's some surplus here that I can use. Just going to add an extra little bit there. I want to darken that. It just feels like the brown is coming through. Tidy that up. If you want, you could take a scissors rather than pull. It might be easier to remove any that we have surplus. And next we have some natural grey, and this is from a breed of sheep called Ryland. And robins have nice fluffy light grey bums, so we're going to add that in there for that section. Takes very little fibre to actually make these. You can see some red coming through there, so that's pretty much that. If you wanted to, you could take some of the brown and just tidy up along the side as well. There we go. Now, sometimes they look nice if the grey is up further in the centre and this goes down a little bit, so chuck a little bit in there, a bit more there. And we can bring the grey up in the centre. So that is where we are now. And the next thing then is we have to get our wing and tails done. Again, spend a few minutes tidying that up. Now we have our small square of felt, and we're going to make our wings and tails from that. So because our fibres are not always consistent in colours because we dye them ourselves, we're going to make sure that we've got a perfect colour match. So take your piece of felt and overlay it with some of the brown that was used for the bird, and that way it's going to be a perfect colour match. And all you're going to do is felt the two of them together until your piece of fabric is nice and smooth. You can felt them, lift it every so often. That's not totally buried in your mat. Keep working till you have it nice and smooth. I think I'm happy with that. It's well felted into the piece of felt, and we can take a scissors and cut out our wing. It nearly flew away. And that's our wings. We need to have them in reverse, so we need one this way, that's one of our wings, and then because we want them facing the opposite way, we want one on the opposite side, and I need to make sure that I have this turned the right way to do that. And that would be it. Because if you don't, it will be the back of your fabric that what you would be putting against the bird. So there we have a set of wings left and right, and then we have plenty left for to take a tail. So I'm just going to take that piece like that and cut it about that length, trim it slightly, then we can shape it when it's on the board as to how we want it to appear. So that's them. Rid of our scraps. Now get our body back, and that is the wing for this side. Flatter piece to the top, place the wing just behind the head, and felt the front part of the wing to the body. Then take the second one, match it in position, and do the same thing. So it's just the front of the wing you're felting into the body. That's our bird now has its wings. If they're sticking out a bit, you can felt them slightly to get them to sit back if you want. Get them to sit in a bit closer. Tail, place it with the correct side up onto his back, and felt that in place. And because we've colour matched the fibre to his body, it should fit seamlessly into him. We can trim the tail afterwards. A bit of a join is shown, so if you want you can just put a tiny bit on top, felt that over it, and that'll hide the join. So we now have our wings. Give him a bit of a haircut, he's a bit fluffy. Our wings are on, our tail is on, and the next thing we need are two eyes. And again, we use glass eyes. I'll take two of them. And for legs, I have two pieces of wire, and for this you can use some glue. So we have to figure out approximately where the eye is going. So it would be about there. Bird's eye is at the side of his head. And that one doesn't want to go in. We need to make the hole a bit deeper. I I'm making these back at an angle into his body because the legs of them are quite long. Alternatively, I could take pliers and I could shorten them. That works fine. So that's one little eye well inserted. And just be careful with your needle on the second one that you're not hitting where the other one is. The red is up a little higher that side, so I'm just going to adjust it. And take a tiny piece of red here. And that's the great thing about needle felting is you can always add another bit. And then we have to see again where we were going with the eye, which was there. Now they look even. For our beak in our kits we have included a clove. It's nice and natural. Now I'm just using an all-purpose glue. Tiny bit of that onto the clove. I have just popped out the little circular bit out of it. If you look at the shape of them and kind of figure out which is best. If it's a bit long, you can trim it after it is dried. And that is pretty much that part complete. Next we need the legs, so I'm going to bring in my spool. And we were lucky enough to get quite a number of nice old vintage spools with the original paper on them, so some of those are in our kits as well. They're in the first of our kits. Now legs, just going to turn this guy around. Legs are quite far back, so we're going just behind the red and again about there. Taking our needle, just put your needle in, keep bringing it up and down in the one place and make a hole, and that's going to work for that. Again, for the legs especially, a little bit of glue is useful to help them to stay put. Shove that in. Leg 2, same again. Again, a bit of glue, dab it up into the tube of glue. Insert into the body, and there we have our legs inserted. Doesn't matter if they're not the same length. Now at this stage, if you want, you can apply a little bit of fibre to the metal on the legs. Just wind a little bit of wool around them, put a little bit of glue. And I'm going to go with the grey. Just take a piece of grey fibre, pull it out from what you have, wrap it around, and that'll hide the wire. Add a bit more glue to it when we get it all sorted. I need to put an extra bit on that one, and we can add an extra bit of glue if you don't mind getting on your fingers. Just tighten it up. Take our fibre again and give it a good wrap around. Again, if there's not enough glue, we can add an extra bit at the end, just secure everything. This glue is good, you just rub your fingers together and it comes off them. And that's our bird, and I'm just after getting the pliers because the wire on these is a bit long, so you can just trim the ends of it. Need them about that length. And pliers is also useful if you want to bend the legs or to get them sitting down better into the spool. And Then I just need to shove the legs into the spool, and we can bring him sitting back so you can play with how he sits at that stage. And that's pretty much it. On our original one, we added a little bit of green fibre just underneath if you want to, or you can leave your label showing that he's sitting on top of it. So that's our needle felted robin sitting in a spool, and it's ready to display, and it does stand perfectly. Hope you enjoyed our video, and thank you for joining us, and if you can give us a follow and check out the rest of our videos.